Hello and welcome to Love from the Other Side. If you are on this video, perhaps you too are in need of hope. We bring you stories from around the world of people who have shared their near-death experiences. While you may not agree with everything that they share, we ask that all comments be respectful and kind. With that being said, let's get started with today's video. This experience comes to us from Beatrice, and it happened to her at the age of 20 in 1996. At the time, I was 20 years old, and I was on the way to a public festival near a swimming lake. I was with my then boyfriend and some other people. It was a nice warm summer evening around 10 p.m. My boyfriend and I had been dining in a restaurant. After the meal, he asked me what kind of strange dots were on my neck. I knew I had allergies since my earliest childhood, but I have never had any skin symptoms. We walked about 200 meters towards the festival when I noticed some lightheadedness. I fainted when we arrived at the festival entrance. I can remember blackness in front of my eyes and feeling that my legs gave way. I was still able to reach for my boyfriend's jacket to hold myself up. He turned and saw that my eyes had turned backwards. Another friend came from behind and caught me. They carried me outside on the street, put me on the ground, and called an ambulance. I didn't notice any of this. Suddenly, I heard buzzing, followed by a hushed plop noise. I left my body through an opening in my head. This happened automatically without any action of my own. I was surrounded in a black void that was somewhat uncomfortable. I needed to get my bearings and was aware that even though I couldn't see my body anymore, I was still myself with all of my feelings, character traits, and thinking. Having or not having a body was irrelevant. I felt good, light, and free. I was pure consciousness. I had a clear mind, a strong will, and a crystal clear perception. I also had additional abilities that are not possible in this earthly life. I was surrounded by nothing but black infinity. The blackness never felt dark, scary, or empty. To the contrary, I was feeling better and better. I was more myself as ever before, and I knew that my body was down on earth. I continued to move ever farther up from it. I also wondered how I knew this. I knew that I peeled off my earthly body like a pullover that you pull on before going to bed. I peeled off my role that I had been playing in this earthly life, like a role in a movie. And now I was again myself, and this was a very liberating feeling. The void was simply infinite. There was no time and no space as we know them here on earth. But still, everything was completely normal and profoundly familiar. I started to move through this infinite black space. I could beam myself literally within the infinity of my thoughts, and I only needed to think, I want to go over there, and I was there. I was flying here and there through the black universe. I also could change my own size. Sometimes I made myself small, and sometimes I expanded myself close to infinity. That was a great feeling, and I tried more and more things. I enjoyed the vastness and infinity. I felt incredibly well, safe, and endlessly free. This was a pure feeling and simply the most natural thing of the world, as if I had been doing nothing but that. And I knew that's my home, my original being, the original existence of all of us, the home of all of our souls. It's from here that I come, and it's from here that I belong. We all come from here, and we all will come back here. A deeply familiar sensation of home and belonging pervaded me completely. I was one with everything. There are no earthly words giving me the possibility to describe this deeply anchored knowledge, and this memory, and this beloved feeling of home. This beaming back and forth with ease of my thoughts, the expansion, but also resting at the place and basking in the comfortable sensation, continued for quite a while, and during which I was aware that I still continued to move up and up. I would compare it with a 45-degree angle. I could play in this infinite space with my moves, but I was also directed and continually pulled up like an autopilot. About mid-height, a soft music came from the depths of the black universe. At first it was far away and could hardly be perceived, but it got my interest. The sounds were nearing fast and became louder until they finally reached and permeated myself. Never before had I heard such a music. It was very rhythmic and ethereal. Initially, I found the music rather strange, but the more the sounds and the rhythm permeated me, the more I became part of the music and was merging with it. I started to move with the music. I was moving in a way I never before had been moving in accordance with music. I felt magnificent, and this state could have been going on forever. I was one with the music and was dancing through the universe. This phase continued for a good while until the music slowly faded. It was as if the music had only been localized in a certain layer, and now I was leaving the sphere by moving further up. I could no longer influence my way of moving. I couldn't determine my speed, as I was on autopilot and still moving upward. I felt great anticipation and was nearing my destination. It was a feeling just like before reaching the finish line, but it was as if the memory of my present life was fading the more I moved away from my body. The ride slowed down and suddenly the ride stopped. I was frustrated because I wanted to continue. I knew that beyond this border was fulfillment. It was the home of our soul, my beloved home, my origin, everything that I am, the place of pure bliss, simply everything. Several times I wanted to beam myself beyond the barrier, but to no avail. While I struggled with this, from the depths of the universe, a voice came. At first it sounded muted and far away, but it approached very fast and became louder and louder until it was close by, from all sides, around me and through me. It was a male voice, clear and distinct, powerful and determining. The voice said, "B, here you can't continue. Here is your stop." I wanted to know who was talking to me, but I didn't think to ask the voice. I also wondered how this voice knew my nickname, but instead of asking, I replied, "But I want to." I was astonished about wanting to assert my will in front of this powerful presence. The voice said again, "You cannot stay. You have to go back." I was deeply shocked, yet the words burst out. Wild horses couldn't drag me there, and I got frightened about my words. But in this moment, I really felt this way. The idea to turn around, go back to my old life now that that home was so near, that was shattering. I can't say that I actually saw what came next in the way that we see it here on earth with human eyes. It was more of an inner sight. I saw my boyfriend holding up my leg and calling my name, "B, B." Suddenly, I was inside of him, in his chest, and felt his despair, but also all of the love that he was feeling for me. The feeling was incredible and overwhelming. Never before or after had I had such a feeling. It was a feeling of such love, all of his love through all ages, and the total love of all the universe merged into one feeling. And the voice said to me, "He loves you and is waiting for you." I decided he will get over it and can continue his life without me. Again, I was scared at the harshness of my decision. Then my parents were shown to my inner eye, and the voice said, "Your parents need you, and you have to take care of them." I thought about my mother and felt that she would need time to overcome my loss, but I was also optimistic that she would understand my decision. And so I answered, "With time, she will also overcome this, and both of them will get along without me." My decision was clear. I wanted to go beyond the border and get back to home. The voice answered calmly and insistingly, "No, you have to go back. You still have to complete your work." This I couldn't understand. What work? What kind of fancy talk is this? What kind of duties? My thoughts had certainly been heard, but unfortunately, no answer came back. The sentence, "You still have to fulfill your work," was very reverberating for a while, and I wondered what was meant by this. It was like a mission given to me. As I didn't get an answer and still continued a few times to get over the invisible border, but to no avail, there was kind of a push, like being pushed back with a kind of compressed air, and then was speeding directly down towards the earth and my body. A deeply shattering sensation went through myself, and I felt rejected and lost. At half height, where the music had been before, I fervently wished the music would show up again, but I rapidly continued towards the ground. Slowly I realized that I really had to go back to my old life. The ride abruptly slowed down, and I knew that I was just above my body. Finally, I dove back into my body. It was dark, but a different darkness as the infinity of the universe. It was dark, and I felt small and lost. At the same time, it was extremely narrow. I felt like being wedged into a sausage, and I thought, is this so narrow because I'm too thin? I answered myself, it's always narrow, even if your width is 1 meter. I felt this tightness like a strong physical pain. I also had the most awful sensation of homesickness you can imagine, a total despair. Now I will have to continue this life until its end. This idea left me quite depressive. I didn't know this kind of feeling from my previous life, and I hadn't had them since to the same extent. But in that moment, it was very bad. And I knew if I couldn't bring myself to counteract this depressive feeling with positive ideas, then I might remain depressed for the rest of my life. This seemed like a horrible mental image. What an emotional roller coaster. Shortly before, my home was in hand's reach, and I had been in anticipation of heaven. And now I was so depressed and sad as never before. A solution was needed. I could not stay that way. So I tried to pick up some courage. I really scanned my feelings for positive steps until I found some. Memories of my present life showed up that generated optimism. Until now, my life had been quite okay, and it had even been beautiful. And then I thought about my friend, his love and his fear that I had been feeling up there, and I started to worry about him. I wanted to tell him, hey, don't worry about me. I'm here and I feel wonderful. This feeling motivated me. Suddenly, the feeling of depression gave way. I was happy about this and was now ready to wake up. After this, a moment of silence followed, a complete silence, and then I heard like a swooshing in my ears, and this was the first real physical sensation in an earthly sense. I now knew that my soul was again completely connected to my body. I could literally feel this fusion happen. The noise in my ears became louder. I sensed that my biological circuit was back. Then the noise was dying away, and I could distinctly hear the noises of festivity. The memory of the event was still present, and now the memory of the previous situation came back, that I had fainted. My eyes were still closed, but I knew who was sitting at my side. It was a friend of mine. She held my hand. I said to her, did I talk or move in a strange way? Because during my experience, I had been talking and dancing. I was scared that I might have behaved in a strange way during my blackout. He said, no, you were simply lying there. This reassured me. I said, I just had a fancy dream. There was a voice talking to me and a music that moved me a lot. She said, yes, let yourself wake up completely. My boyfriend, seeing that I was awake, let my legs fall. They flopped down on the hard ground. It seemed that he was under shock, and some of his friends were leading him away. Generally, there was a great relief that I was awake. I knew that an ambulance was there, and the paramedics were on the way to my place. I wanted to avoid that. I felt fine. I considered the whole confusion concerning myself as unpleasant, so I was sitting up. I noticed that I felt totally clear, more clear than ever before, as if this kind of purification or clarification had happened. My friends were not happy that I was sitting up, but I didn't care. So I got up completely, what caused the others to start panicking. Now my boyfriend came back and also wanted to stabilize me. I could hardly convince him that I was really fine. I even felt great. I wanted to attend the festivity and to revel, to celebrate my great condition, my new gained lucidity, my experience. But this wouldn't happen. You better take her home, the friends of my boyfriend advised. So he took me home. On the way home, I was looking through the open car window into the night sky, and I said, I've just been up there. Well, that is our experience for today. Beatrice does answer a pretty lengthy question and answer session that I will put a link to in the About section of this video. I'd like to thank you once again for joining us. I know that your time is precious, and I appreciate any time that you spend here. Until next time, God bless.